In a setback to political parties in India, especially the BJP, a 5-judge bench of Chief Justice of India CJI Chandrachud, Justices Sanjiv Khanna, Gavai, Pardiwala and Manoj Misra delivered a unanimous verdict on February 15th, striking down the Electoral Bonds scheme as unconstitutional. The bench was ruling on a batch of pleas challenging the legal validity of the central government's Electoral Bonds scheme, which allows for anonymous funding to political parties. At the start of the judgment, CJI Chandrachud said there are two opinions, one by himself and another by Justice Sanjiv Khanna, and both arrive at same conclusion. The bench said that the petitions raised two main issues: whether amendments are violative of right to information under Article 19(1)(a) and whether unlimited corporate funding violated free and fair elections. The CJI, while reading out his judgment, said that the Supreme Court holds that anonymous electoral bonds are violative of right to information and Article 19(1)(a). The Supreme Court said that information about corporate contributors through electoral bonds must be disclosed, as the donations by companies are purely for quid pro quo purposes. The court held that amendments in the Companies Act permitting unlimited political contributions by companies is arbitrary and unconstitutional. The Supreme Court said infringement to the right to information is not justified for the purpose of curbing black money. The apex court ordered banks to forthwith stop issuing electoral bonds and that the State Bank of India shall furnish the details of electoral bonds encashed by the political parties. The court said the SBI should submit the details to the Election Commission of India and ECI shall publish these details on the website. A 5-judge constitution bench headed by Chief Justice Chandrachud had on November 2nd last year reserved its verdict in the matter. Now let's see what Advocate Prashant Bhushan and Jaya Thakur, one of the petitioners, have to say about the SC order.
The Supreme Court has struck down the electoral bond scheme, comprehensively struck it down, and all the provisions that were made to bring it into effect in the Income Tax Act, in the Companies Act, etc., everything has been struck down. They have held that this violates the fundamental right to information of citizens to know about who is contributing this much money to political parties, etc. They have also struck down the amendment made which allowed unlimited political contribution being made by companies to political parties. So, not only the electoral bond scheme but also the amendment which removed the restrictions on political contributions by companies, which were that you cannot contribute more than 7.5% of your annual profit by way of political contributions. That has also been struck down as violating the level playing field in a democracy. So the petitions filed by us have been comprehensively allowed by the Supreme Court. So they have also directed the State Bank of India to furnish complete information about who purchased the bonds, who encashed the bonds, and all this information will have to be submitted to the Election Commission, who will have to display it on a public website so that the people come to know who purchased the bonds and who contributed by way of electoral bonds to which political party.
The scheme, which was notified by the Modi government on January 2nd, 2018, was pitched as an alternative to cash donations made to political parties as part of efforts to bring in transparency in political funding. According to the provisions of the scheme, only the political parties registered under Section 29A of the Representation of the People Act 1951 and which secured not less than 1% of the votes polled in the last elections to the Lok Sabha or a state legislative assembly are eligible to receive electoral bonds. An electoral bond is an instrument in the nature of a promissory note or bearer bond, which can be purchased by any individual, company, firm or association of persons, provided the person or body is a citizen of India or incorporated or established in India. The bonds are issued specifically for the purpose of contribution of funds to political parties. The sender in an affidavit had said that the methodology of the electoral bond scheme is completely transparent mode of political funding, and it is impossible to resend black money or unaccounted money through this scheme. Various petitions had been pending before the top court challenging amendments made to different statutes through Finance Act 2017 and Finance Act 2016. The petitioners claimed that electoral bonds had opened doors to unlimited, unchecked funding of political parties. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court order has come as a shot in the arm of opposition parties. Senior advocate and Congress's Rajya Sabha MP Kapil Sibal trained guns at PM Modi. This was what he said.
This is a huge ray of hope, not just for A, B or C political party, but for democracy itself. It's a huge ray of hope for citizens of this country. Because this whole scheme, which was the brainchild of my late friend Arun Jaitley, was in fact choreographed to enrich the BJP. Because everybody knew that the BJP was in power and that any donations through electoral bond scheme would come to the BJP. But the interesting part is that this electoral bond scheme had nothing to do with elections. It was really the bonding between the corporate sector and the BJP, which received the largest number of donations. And the donations they received over the years amounts to about 5,000 to 6,000 crores. Now, with 5,000 to 6,000 crores in your kitty, which is not to be used in elections at all, right? You can topple governments, you can build your infrastructure as a political party, you can build the infrastructure for the RSS,